everybody. Quick little message on safety before today's video. We're going to look at two words, ACTS, A-C-T-S, and PROVE, P-R-O-V-E. A-C-T-S stands for A, assume every firearm is loaded. C, control where it's pointed in a safe direction. T, keep your finger off the trigger. S, you want to safe check the gun. Brings us to the word PROVE. P stands for point it in a safe direction. R, remove all ammunition, either remove your magazine or open a fixed magazine and remove all ammunition. Cycle the action a few times. Brings us to O, observe the feed path. V, verify the chamber is empty with your finger. E, examine the bore, make sure there's no bore obstruction. At that point in time, before you work on any firearm, you should also wear safety glasses because there is a lot of spring tension. That all being said, you assume all liability. Trying anything you may see in my videos, assume no responsibility or liability for what anyone else does or how they do it or anything that may arise from what they do. That being said, peace out. Enjoy the video. Everybody, welcome back to John's Firearms 705. Today we're going to take a look at the disassembly, maintenance, and reassembly of a bolt from the Henry lever action rifle, chambered in 22 long rifle. It's the model H001. Okay, first thing we're going to take a look at is on this end. You have a pin that goes straight through. You'll notice one end of the hole is a little bit wider. You're going to want to punch the pin out from the smaller end. And for all the work on this today, we're going to use a punch. It is a 1/16, and we also have a hammer of some sort. So we'll go ahead and we'll punch this pin out, like I said again, coming in from the small side. Now I'm going to see if I can just push it. No, it's going to take a little bit of hammering. That's fine. Okay. There she's out. It's just a really small little pin. Now, when we take this punch out, inside here, underneath the firing pin in the channel near the back end, there's a spring, and it lays flat, horizontally, in the bottom underneath the firing pin. Now, it's not too much pressure, but just capture the back of the firing pin here and the top of it when you pull out your punch, okay? You can just open up, tip it upside down, the firing pin will come out, give it another little tap, tip it back, and your spring will come out. I don't know if you can see it there. There's a hole for it. It'll pop right out of there. So there we have our spring for the firing pin, the little pin, and the firing pin itself. Okay, we'll set that aside. Now down on the other end, of course, we have our extractor on the one side and our ejector on the other side. And of course, they're both held in by their respective pins, and they also have their respective springs inside. Now, if you notice on the top, this is the largest size holes. We're going to be punching it out from the bottom. But if you notice, they're kind of towards the center of the firing pin. But when you look on the bottom, they are way out wide. Now, that kind of confused me at first. I'm used to them being, in a straight line. Obviously, these ones come up on a bit of an angle, so keep that in mind. When we're on the bottom and we're pushing the pins out, your punch is going to be on an angle something like this, and the one on the other side, of course, going to be on an angle something like this. Okay, so we'll come down to the bottom. You can pick whatever one you want, and we'll punch out either pin. Keeping in mind, when you punch it out, leave your punch in the hole that's there. Well, this one's going to require a little bit of hammering too. Okay, there we go. So I punched out the pin on the ejector side, just a little wee tie one. We'll keep it aside. Now when we pull this out, if you can see in here, there's a bit of a round spot there. There was a spring underneath there. So just kind of hold this in place while we pull our punch out. Okay, it's not a whole lot of pressure. And you can just drop it all out. It'll come out. Okay, there's your little ejector. Let's see if we can get, oh, there's a little spring. Now be careful because these are super tiny. You don't want to lose them. See how small that spring is? So we'll set that aside with all the parts from that area. And then that just leaves us our last pin from underneath for the extractor. From underneath. Oh, this one I got lucky. It's just going to push out. No, it's not going to push out, just a little bit. Okay, we'll condense it. Okay. Again, just a little wee pin. Now when we pull this one out, same thing. There's a spring on this one. It's a little bit more tension. It's, you can see where the whole part is. So just kind of capture it all on the back, along the side, and the front. Pull your punch out. You can just turn upside down, release it all. There you go. There's our extractor. You want to just double check, make sure everything's all nice and crisp up here, it hasn't worn off. And again, has this super tiny little spring. So let's set that aside. Okay, so we got it all apart. We got all the pieces together. You know, we've inspected them all. Our extractor looks good, our ejector looks good, you know, our firing pin looks good. The one thing I noticed on mine, being stamped out now, that the top and bottom edges were quite rough, so I actually just smoothed them down a little bit with a stone and then re-blued it just so it has a little bit smoother action. I also found the actual slot in here where the firing pin rides had quite a bit of buildup of grime and residue. Give that a really good cleaning. Of course, your bolt face, you want to give that a really good cleaning, and also pay very special attention where the ejector and the extractor springs go, right where the little hole is for it on both sides respectively. When I took mine out, there was just a bit of rust in there. The springs had some rust on it. Probably not a big deal, but I looked at it, I thought, you know what, I'll clean up really good, get it all the rusty stuff out of there, and then just give it a little bit of a drop of oil, rub it down, and you know, probably never have to worry it again. So anyway, that being said, let's go ahead with reassembly. We're going to start down here at the firing pin. We're going to take our spring, and like I showed you earlier, we're just going to drop the spring into that hole there. Okay, there she goes. Okay, I'm just going to take our firing pin, drop it down just a little bit back, because what happens is, of course, this needs to catch the end of the spring and then pull it forward. Okay, so you see it's kind of in there. Spring is returning the firing pin back. So now we could take our pin, we're going to insert it through the larger part of the hole. Okay, just get started in there. And then all you have to do is push the firing pin forward till it's pretty much flush with the back there, and then push the pin in. Okay, so I got most of the way in. I'm just going to give it a little tap here. Okay, so there we are, we're in. Later on, I'll just make that smooth and flush with the punch proper. Won't waste your time watching me do it now. So there we go, that's the reinstallation of the firing pin, the spring, and the pin that holds it in. It's all good to go. Okay, for our ejector, first thing we're going to want to do is put our little spring in the hole on the side there. We're going to get our pin started. We're going to take our ejector, we're going to line up the hole, press it down. We're just going to have to push down on the ejector while pressing the pin into place. Just like that. Now your pin's in. Of course, you're going to want to set it in to the proper depth, so just give it a quick little tappy. Okay, there you go, it's in place. Give it a little test. Yeah. Functions just properly. Okay, now we'll move over to the extractor. Same thing, we're going to want to put our little spring in there first. Just like that, sets in there. And I'm going to hold my finger over that, and I'm just going to start my pin in from the top side, the larger hole. Just like that, okay? And we're going to line up, of course, the hole in here with the pin in the groove. Of course, we're going to make sure your spring is still there in place. Just set it over, line up the pin. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. We're going to just push down on the extractor while we're forcing the pin in with our other hand. Now this one does have a little bit more resistance. It's a little bit stronger spring. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll just give it a little tap to set that pin in down proper. Keeping in mind again, it is on an angle. Okay, so there we go. All the pins are in. Check your springs, everything's functioning good there. Firing pin, everything's good there. Give that firing pin a little extra tap just to set it in place. Ensure the pins are flush with the bottom of the bolt, not extending. I did fix it after. All right. Okay guys, that's it. That's the disassembly, reassembly, and a few little maintenance tips on the bolt from the Henry lever action rifle H001 chambered in 22 long rifle. Okay, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, check out some of my other videos. As always, have fun, be safe, peace out, see you at the range.